Hey guys, and welcome back to ZRZ. In this video we're taking a look at the Hori Onyx wireless PS4 controller, and this is an officially licensed product. And the main thing about this controller is the fact that it has asymmetrical analog sticks. So it's the Xbox One style controller layout. So this is good for people coming from Xbox and playing a PS4, or just want something that's they're used to, something they're more comfortable with playing with this layout. But does having a controller with analog sticks like this make it a good controller? Not necessarily. There's a lot of other things to consider. So starting off, this controller retails for $44.99, but I've seen it pop up here and there for between £35 to £40, which is roughly the same, if not slightly cheaper, than a DualShock 4 controller. And in the box, you just get the controller on its own. There's nothing else in there, simple cardboard box, and no cables or anything like that. But it does just use a standard micro USB connection, so you can use the cable that comes with your PS4. Being an officially licensed product, it does have all of the proper logos on there for the buttons, like the PS button in the middle, and overall the design is quite simple. It's just a simple matte black plastic design all the way around, a couple of glossy edges around some of the buttons, but otherwise very simple. It does have a texture at the back. It's a bit more aggressive than the standard DualShock 4's textured backing, but it feels pretty comfortable and grippy in the hand. The analog sticks and the buttons feel pretty good in the hand. The analog sticks do have quite a nice tight feeling on them, which I do quite like, and the feedback on all of the buttons is good. Nothing too crazy, nothing too special, but they feel good nonetheless. Now this controller does lack quite a few features compared to a standard DualShock 4 controller, such as the 3.5mm headphone jack, the speaker at the front, and the light bar. It's missing all of those features. So any games that will utilize these features, or if you wanted to put headphones in to your controller, you won't be able to do that with the Hori Onyx. Now talking about the ergonomics and the way this controller feels in the hand, I feel like this is one of the most important things. So this controller feels good in the hand on its own. There's no major problems with it. The only thing that was a slight problem for me was the grips at the bottom going quite thin, so you ended up having to put quite a tight grip with your little finger to get a good hold on it, but it was nothing major. But this was until I held an Xbox One controller and then a DualShock 4 controller again as well, and it made me realise that this controller isn't quite up there yet with the ergonomic design of it. The main problems I had, especially with the Xbox One controller, just fell into place. Everything felt smooth, there was nothing, no aggressive sharp corners or anything like that. With this controller, it made me notice that there was quite a tight angle for the trigger, bump here. And you notice that afterwards when you're playing this and then you use an Xbox One controller, that's quite an aggressive angle on there. And then also obviously the thin grips at the bottom, that was more apparent after holding a DualShock 4 controller, because that has quite a chunky grip, which I'm a fan of, but this controller didn't quite have that same comfort level as either of those controllers, so it's not quite there yet, but it doesn't feel terrible. Now talking about performance and battery life of this controller, the battery life claims to be 6 hours. I didn't notice anything better or worse than a DualShock 4, but some people complaining that this is only getting 3 to 4 hours of battery life from a full charge. And in terms of performance when playing games, my experience was varied. It started off good. I did quite enjoy playing with it. It didn't feel bad. There was nothing spectacular about it. But it felt decent, and I'm not too fussy over the analog stick layout. I generally prefer symmetrical layout, but this layout was not a problem for me. It felt good in the hand, but the only issue I had, which became more apparent the longer I played, was the mapping of the analog stick. Something felt a little bit off. It's not the layout, it's just the sensitivity and the way it feels, especially playing a first person shooter. It just didn't seem precise or sensitive enough, and I noticed it was mainly the dead zone. So going back and forth with this Hori Onyx and the DualShock 4, I noticed that the dead zone was quite large on this one. So when you're making those precise movements, when you're sniping, trying to get that headshot, making those slight movements, it just felt like the dead zone was slightly bigger, and it was surprisingly really noticeable after a while. And it ended up me getting very frustrated and just leaving this controller and picking up the DualShock 4 again, because I just felt like I had that edge in terms of how precise I was able to aim and shoot in games. And for me that's a big issue, and that makes me think that this controller isn't quite going to replace a DualShock 4 for you. Even if you prefer this analog stick layout, you're almost better off getting used to a DualShock 4 controller, because it does have that edge in terms of its sensitivity and how precise it is, and the features that it has, like the headphone jack on there. So I can't recommend this controller just yet. Hopefully they release maybe a version 2 or something, improve a few things here and there, but it's not quite there yet. So that's the review of the Hori Onyx PS4 controller. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you in the next one.